ow, oh, ow. League of Legends. Hi everyone, and let's start the video.
Today's episode is sponsored by Google Play.
Thank you.
I could start a really strong assassin build with you, though for early game I could probably...
Hey, buddy. Hey, you with the face.
I have a face. Are you talking to me?
Yeah, I have a face. Yeah, it's me. I have a face. Yeah. What am I doing?
Yeah, come over here. Check out what I got. Don't pick any of those losers. Oh, come on, man.
I don't know. I probably should save my money for mid-game.
Why do that when I have everything you need right here? I've got you a Draven. I've got you a Brand Cho'Gath. I'm talking about some real S-tier stuff here, man.
Okay.
Man, you know.
I guess one refresh won't hurt. Wait, where's that Draven you promised?
He's there, I swear. Hit me again. Dead.
It's there, I swear. Come on, you can. Trust me.
Refreshes later.
Damn.
Yeah, I swear it's in there. You want one more reroll?
Yeah, sure. I sure it's there, you know. It's there.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory.
Alright. Hello, welcome to Game Theory. Hi.
The only show with puns more unbearable than a frenzied bite from a volibear.
A frenzied bite. Bearable.
Today's episode is sponsored by Google Play as we talk all about Riot Games' newest title. No, not that one. Still new, but slightly less new than that.
Valor is big, you know.
And not connected to Legends of Runeterra either. There you go, Teamfight Tactics, an auto-battler set in the League of Legends universe. If you're unfamiliar with what exactly an auto-battler is, it's basically a thinking man's strategy game where over the course of several rounds you assemble a team of units, set them up on a grid-shaped battlefield, and then watch them go at it against other players. It's a bit like chess, except all the pieces attack at the same time, and, you know, some of the pieces are dressed like sexy pirates. One of the great things about Teamfight Tactics is that every game starts off on equal footing. Everyone starts off with access to the same set of resources as everyone else, no matter how much time you've spent playing the game, which makes it a real contest of seeing who can actually best manage their resources to outwit all the other players and assemble the strongest team. And
True. It's really test your knowledge and how good you are at strategizing.
a huge part of that gameplay process is money management and drafting. You gain
Money management and drafting. One more time. Money management and character drafting.
a small amount of gold at the start of every round depending on how many rounds you've won or lost up to that point. And choosing how to spend that gold to build out your team, most often by drafting new champions, is the key to victory. So what do you do? Do you save your money to spend it on bigger champions down the line? Do you re-roll hoping to find your perfect synergy setup? What is the optimal way to spend and draft? As I mentioned, Teamfight Tactics is less than a year old, and it's constantly being updated. So a lot of these strategies are still evolving, but the idea of games that are won or lost by money management and proper drafting are as old as classic sports. In most
Baseball! Oh my gosh! Wait, baseball in a game video? Huh, interesting. Tell me more.
professional sports, be it baseball, football, basketball, hockey, players are allocated to teams through a drafting process where teams take turns selecting players to try and assemble the best sports team.
Oh my god, I really love this episode. This video is like talking about in-game video games and real world management. Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
And well, I'm not normally a sports guy. Can you tell from my pale white skin that I spend more time basking in the glow of my monitor than I spend basking in the glow of the baseball diamond? I think the keys to
Different glow, different
Understanding
glow.
how to win a draft can actually be found in real sports. After all, auto battlers are a lot like managing a sports franchise. You build the team, then you sit back and watch as that team you've assembled goes to battle it out and either put up a win or a loss over several rounds, not unlike the way a season of a game plays out. And so that is the theme for today's episode. In a game like Teamfight Tactics, where round-based drafting can either make you or break you, how can centuries of traditional sports research give us a leg up, ensuring that our team is the one taking home the win? Of course, we have to be a little bit more precise about who in the world of sports that we want to listen to. We want to make sure that we're taking advice from the winners, but even that needs to be narrowed down a lot. For instance, the most well-known baseball team in the US is the New York... What? I can't say... It's the team's name! Trademarked? People wonder why traditional sports is dying. Let's create a system where you can't talk about it online. Fine, I guess I'll just have to get creative. Pardon the interruption, folks. Okay, so the New York Doodle Dandies...
New York Doodle Dandies. Is it safe? Is it brand safe? The New York Doodle Dandies. Yeah.
Are obviously one of the most successful baseball teams in the US, but a lot of their wins come from the fact that they have one of the biggest budgets when compared to all other baseball teams. In other words, in a lot of ways, they're the equivalent of a pay-to-win model in baseball. They can afford to employ all of the best players. That strategy won't work for us in Teamfight Tactics since, as I mentioned earlier, this is a game where everyone starts on equal footing.
Equal footing, equal management, equal money.
And equal funding. With that in
Equal
mind,
funding.
the best guide for us to follow in trying to draft the strongest team with the lowest possible monetary finances available
Strongest team, tightest budget.
to us may just be what's become known as the strategy. The cash sphere strategy, a tactic pioneered
The cash sphere strategy.
by the Oakland, am I allowed to say the city? Oh, thank goodness. The Oakland Athletic Individuals that
Athletic individuals. AI. Oh, AI.
2002 during their legendary baseball season. Basically, the city of Oakland had one of the two poorest teams in professional baseball, with a budget of only $40 million. And they managed to compete with other much larger teams with deeper pockets. Much deeper pockets.
Much.
Those Doodle Dandies from New York that I mentioned earlier,
Doodle
that
Dandies.
same year had a budget of $126 million. 3 times what the Athletic Individuals had to work with. And yet both teams tied for the highest number of wins that season. Oh boy, Doodle Dandies and Athletic Individuals. It feels like I'm going through the generic cereal section
The Doodle Dandies and the athletic individuals.
of the grocery store. Anyway, the basic principle of the cash sphere strategy wasn't spending more, but spending that money smarter. And they did this by employing core principles that can be applied to draft-based video games like Teamfight Tactics. First off, look for the players, or in our case the legends, that are undervalued by other players. One of the advantages the managers who lived and worked over in Oakland, the city, were able to exploit was Seibert metrics, a statistical analysis technique aimed to look at players in terms of what attributes really affected the outcome of games. Now, this seems like it would be an obvious thing to do, right? Especially when you're a baseball manager in charge of budgets of tens to hundreds of millions of dollars. But back in 2002, baseball scouts often tended to focus on traits that were easy to observe. How fast a fielder could run, how fast a pitcher could throw, how fit the player looked.
These are observable traits, but sometimes if you are too focused on observable traits, you miss out a lot of things.
On a surface level, this doesn't seem
Like team spirits, team cooperation.
that bad of an idea, right? After all, if you had to choose between two pitchers, wouldn't you rather have the pitcher who could throw a faster fastball? But if you think about it for a minute, what really matters most is whether the pitcher can throw strikes. The speed of the pitch only matters if it translates to more strikeouts and fewer runs. In order to select the best pitcher, you need to look at the stats that actually matter. How many strikeouts they pitch, how many walks they give up, how many home runs batters are hitting off of their pitches. By focusing on these traits, baseball scouts who lived and worked on behalf of Oakland's non-specified baseball team were
Okay, non-specific team.
able to find players who were overlooked
Too short, weird eyebrows, left-handed, slow pitch, a bit chubby.
Due to some superficial trait. One of their draft picks, for instance, was a pitcher who had a slow fastball and a strange-looking submarine style of pitching, which is a manlier way of saying he pitched underhand. And yet, that unconventional pitching style helped him to become one of the best relieving pitchers in the season that year. And because he was overlooked, they were able to get him for cheap. Similarly, when it came to hitters, baseball scouts tended to focus on a batter's running speed. But in baseball, what matters most is the batter's ability to earn runs for his team, which is best measured by their on-base percentage, how often that player is able to get on a base. The cognitive trap that the baseball scouts kept stumbling into is that they were looking at traits like running speed, the power of a batter's swing, even how athletic they looked, not because those traits were the most important,
but they're just easy to find, you know, just easy to recognize.
because they were the most easy to observe and understand. This is what's called the availability bias, which is the base.
Oh, fun fact: the availability bias. I mean, everybody has bias, correct? Even I have bias. Like, I care for all humans. All humans. If you're non-human, then
The human tendency to assume that the more easy something is to notice and remember, the more relevant it is. So how does the availability bias principle apply to Teamfight Tactics? Well, I think a lot of us realize that judging solely based on appearance rather than stats is a pretty dumb move. Probably doesn't need to be said that you shouldn't be picking units in a strategy game based on what units you think look cool, though a team full of Verises would actually be pretty incredible. However, it's very possible for
a team of birds.
the availability bias to manifest in other ways. Units in Teamfight Tactics have stats like hit points, mana, attack speed, and it can be easy to focus on these sorts of things because it's obvious that they're important, right? Of course you'd rather have more hit points. Of course you'd rather have higher attack speed. However, units are balanced around a lot of different traits, and those sorts of easy to measure stats aren't going to be as helpful as some others. In Teamfight Tactics, you have the Giant's Belt, an item that gives you plus 200 HP. Obvious why this item would be good then, right? More HP is always going to be better than less HP. On the other hand, there's the Spatula item.
You don't know what the spatula does, you know. The availability bias occurs.
Which, let's just say, is a lot less obvious. I mean, the game ain't helping you too much there. The description literally reads, it must do something. But if you play around, you learn that the spatula is used to add a class to a champion, effectively breaking the rules of the game and opening up brand new synergies for your team. The lesson here is that when you're first starting out, it's easy to fall into the trap of drafting the units and items whose powers are easier to understand. Health is easy. Class-based synergy, not so much. Playing that way is falling victim to the availability bias, and is no better than a baseball scout using metrics like, does he look fit, to decide whether someone should be drafted onto your team. The second lesson to be learned is being willing to change your team mid-season. In 2001, the athletic individuals finished their season with an impressive record of 102 wins and 60 losses. It was the second highest number of wins for any of the 30 teams in their league, but it's important to note that the first half of their season kinda sucked. Only 44 wins and 43 losses, barely breaking even at 50%. What really set their team apart from the rest of the pack was the second half of the season, where they went 58 wins and 17 losses. And
wow, the improvements.
almost mind-bogglingly good performance. So how does that same team go from barely scraping by to absolutely crushing it? They don't. Their secret was they weren't the same team. The team underwent massive player changes as their general manager switched up strategies. He was constantly evaluating his trading success and assessing the value that other managers were placing on individual players. This is similar to how games in Teamfight Tactics play out. The draft isn't something that happens at the start of the game, but between rounds. You're gradually building your team over the course of many battles, and you have to be willing to pivot your strategy. Many new players make the mistake of trying to build towards their late game team from round 1, but in the process they neglect the early and middle phases of the game.
Early phase, mid phase, late phase.
Players also tend to be resistant to get rid of units even when they're not contributing to the team.
Well, true, because think about it, I've spent so much effort, so much time into improving you, learning about you, and then just trying to change you is a bit... Not a lot of people can take it, yeah, just say.
Or not matching up with the potential synergies that they could be playing, because they've already spent gold on drafting and training those units. This is called the sunk costs fallacy.
The sunk cost fallacy.
The more you invest in something, the harder it becomes to abandon it. At the end of the day, true success in teamfight tactics isn't assembling one winning team. It's about being able to assess what players are free agents floating around in that draft pool and being able to shape your team around what's available there, rather than you trying to will your ideal team into existence. It's easy to get fixated on trying to build one specific team. Maybe you like playing as knights or assassins or whatever, and that's fine, provided that those champions are randomly floating in the selection pool and match your playstyle. But you start wasting gold and resources and start building a losing strategy if you're unable to pivot when those resources aren't available. Additionally, just like the Oakland Athletic Individuals baseball manager, pay attention to the actions of your rival managers. Remember, this is a multiplayer game, and you're not the only person at the table. Pay attention to what units other players are drafting. When the game keeps repeatedly showing you units of a similar type, like offering you a bunch of assassin units or a bunch of knight units each time you roll, it could be a sign that these units are being underdrafted by the other players. Because auto battlers like Teamfight Tactics reward you for assembling synergies, knowing what types of units are underdrafted is a great way to hone in on a synergy that you yourself are able to exploit. Again, don't grow so attached to the picks that you've made earlier in the draft that you ignore the opportunities that could be showing up for you on the horizon and moving forward into late game. Because here's the last thing, trading players for cash can work. One of the things that set the Athletic Individuals manager apart was his willingness to trade players for money. Sometimes he would trade away highly desired players for less desired players just to get some extra cash out of the deal. Managing your gold economy throughout the draft is key to games like Teamfight Tactics.
Money management and character drafting. Important.
Having gold in the bank gives you options, rather than just trying to fill your bench with new players each and every round and aggressively re-rolling. Think about saving some money in the bank, and don't be afraid to sell units for an extra cash infusion of gold later on. Of course, there's a lot more to this game than what can be covered in just one video, which is a big part of the appeal. The more time you spend experimenting with different builds and learning
It's just a tip of the iceberg.
what works, the more of an edge that you'll have against your opponents. Teamfight Tactics doesn't let you gain an advantage over players by starting with better units just because you've played longer, but the one thing it does reward is experience. While we've named a few core principles here, look for units that are undervalued by other players, adjust your draft based on what other players are picking, stay conscious of your gold economy, a lot of these boil down to the fact that one of the most powerful things you can possess in a strategy game
Is information. Strategize with information.
is information. The more you play, the more you learn. And the more you learn, the more of an edge you have against your competition. There's that old saying that knowledge is power. And Teamfight Tactics is a strategy game where the player who's most skilled at paying attention to information often stands the best chance of being the last player standing.
Yeah! You know, knowledge is power!
But hey, that's just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching.
Thank you!
And one final thank you to Google Play for sponsoring this episode. This video is part of their campaign to help fight the spread of COVID-19 by reminding you that just because we're hanging out in our houses waiting for the world to get healthy doesn't mean we have to be alone. Video games are the answer. And titles like Teamfight Tactics
Don't have to be alone, you know. The social stress, the social distress, the frustration of not being able to socialize. After all, humans are social creatures, and it's very important for us to communicate with one another, even if it's stay-at-home orders. Alright? Stay healthy, stay fit. Mentally healthy is also important.
truly allow gamers around the world to #play apart together. If you're interested in trying out the game, which I highly recommend, the download link is right there at the top line of the description. Now is a perfect time to do it too, since Teamfight Tactics just updated with a fun little space theme. So keep healthy, keep gaming, and keep tuning in for more. I'll see you all next week.
Thank you! Thank you so much for watching this video. If you do like this video, please consider to like, share, and subscribe to my channel, and comment down below if you have anything to share with us. Thank you so much. I sincerely appreciate all of your support for me and my channel, and encouragement and appreciation is just nice, you know. Don't forget to follow my channel as well, and I'll see you next time in my next video. Thank you so much. I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye. But hey, that's just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching. Thank you so much for watching this video. This video came up from a YouTube channel, the Game Theorists, back in the year 2020. Alright, 1 year ago. Back then, it mentioned about stay-at-home orders. Right now, Singapore is, not just Singapore, the entire world is still going through this current global pandemic, and please, do stay safe. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Together we can make it out through this alive, well, stronger together, better together. After all, we are just simple human beings, Homo sapiens, just living creatures, inhabitants of this planet Earth, the blue marble, terra firma, Gaia, just my nature. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. If you do like this video, they're just ready to, you please do check out more of their videos, and like, share, subscribe, comment down below, and follow the channel from the YouTube channel, the Game Theorists. Their videos are very entertaining, enjoyable, and fun to watch. The entertainment is just awesome, and I'm just a huge fan of the work. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.